This was never supposed to happen for the Baltimore Orioles. Welcome in, everybody, to Bad for Baseball, the baddest baseball podcast on the internet, presented to you by Betway. I'm your host, Nicholas Blaylock, joined alongside by Adam Peddle. And today, everybody, we're going to be talking about what is happening right now with those Baltimore Orioles. There is a storm brewing over there in Baltimore, and Baltimore fans, I don't think that they love what they are seeing. We expected a lot from this baseball team, but shit's hitting the fan right now, everybody, and things aren't looking good. Before we get into all this, please make sure to hit the like, smash the subscribe button, and let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments down below. Now, 2023 comes off of a 100-win season, right? Really, really good. Nobody expected them to be that good. 2024 takes a little bit of a step back, but still one of the better teams in the American League. 90-plus wins, goes to the playoffs, still hasn't won a playoff game yet. But I think a lot of people expected and anticipated that as these young guys, Adley and Gunnar and various others, as they get older, this team would get better and better and better. And it feels like, anyways, this offseason, that hasn't really been the case.
Yeah, I mean, you lose Corbin Burns. That was what made them so good last year, too. That was a legitimate ace, was adding Corbin Burns into that rotation. He walks, and they don't really have a replacement for him. Like, sure, they've got guys like Grayson Rodriguez. We'll get to him in just a little bit. And, yeah, guys like Charlie Morton, maybe you can go bridge the gap over there before you get some other kind of ace in there. But you really don't have anybody else in there. And that's a big loss for a team. Like, you need pitching to, make the playoffs and then win in the playoffs. And, sure, their lineup, still really good. I'm really excited to see what these young guys can do, especially Jackson Holliday in his second year. But what are they going to do with no pitching, right? And to begin this season, right, when you're walking in with not adding a lot of guys in that rotation, you didn't really, you kind of replaced Santander with Tyler O'Neill. If he's healthy for a full season, I think he's going to do phenomenal things. But that was kind of it. No real big bullpen additions other than getting back Cano. And then you walk into the season, and you're already dealing with a crap load of injuries, and that's the problem that they're facing with. Once you start getting injured with some of your big boys, you're going to have a little you have a really tough season ahead of you.
Exactly, yeah, that is the big thing right now. Let's flash over to some of those injuries, right? Like the big, I guess, mentality of this Baltimore front office was, well, we're going to rely on the players that we have right now. We believe that they're going to continue to do stuff for us, get better. They can't do that if they're on the fucking IL. And that is what's happening right now with Baltimore. For starters, Gunnar Henderson is going to be starting the season on the injured list. That is not something that you want to see at all, everybody, because that's your MVP guy, right? Like, if anybody's going to win MVP on the Baltimore Orioles, it is going to be Gunnar Henderson. Now, according to these reports, it should be a few weeks, maybe later April, he comes back. But it's just one of those things where, okay, now we got to ramp it up again. Now we got to get up to speed. He comes into this thing. Maybe he's a little bit slow to start. These things, whilst they seem minor, I mean, they can actually have a pretty big domino effect on the entirety of the season.
Especially, when I think about when seasons are won and lost, it's the first 3 months of the season, right? And especially in a dominant, very competitive AL East, where you've got the Yankees, you've got the Red Sox who are in it now. Like, don't sleep on the Toronto Blue Jays. You guys know our Blue Jay fans. I mean, they could easily be in the mix too as well. And then Tampa Bay Rays, you never know what the hell they're going to do. They could put up a 50 or a 500, win season. So, you got to be ready out of the gate. And if you start losing games and dropping games without your MVP candidate, Gunnar Henderson, that's going to be really tough. And especially out of the gate if you don't have these starting pitchers too. Right? Look over here. This is Brendan Weil, one of our good friends over here on X. Shout out to him. He breaks down all the injuries to every single rotation. And the team with the most injuries right now to the rotation, you would have thought it was the New York Yankees, but it's the Baltimore Orioles. Bradish on the 60-day IL. Rogers going to begin the year on the IL. Grayson Rodriguez going to begin the year on the IL. Even more so, he might be back in April, but again, he has to ramp up. And as a pitcher, that's even worse than being an opposition player.
Yeah.
Wells on the IL. It's real tough for these Baltimore Orioles. You look at their rotation right now. You're going to have Zach Eflin going opening day for you. Look, yes, he's a 3.6 ERA kind of guy last year, but that's your opening day ace. That's a huge drop-off from Corbin Burns.
Well, that's the thing. I don't mind Zach Eflin at all. It's just like the guys that follow him where there's just a lot of question marks for me, right? I mean, Charlie Morton and Dean Kramer, like, what are you, especially Charlie Morton being almost 42 years old right now. Like, I swear to God, we were having conversations years ago that the guy was thinking about retirement. He's still here. I don't know why, but I guess he's just got something else to prove. But obviously question marks surrounding him, question marks surrounding Dean Kramer. Sugano,
I have no clue what to expect from Sugano.
You know what I mean? Hasn't played in MLB, right?
He's already 35 too.
Exactly, so look, that's to me where this big fall off is. Like, they gotta start a game with Cade Povich. Have you ever heard of that guy in your life?
I've heard of him on the waiver wire in fantasy, and I never picked him up. There you go.
Now you can, because he's going to be getting some significant innings for those Baltimore Orioles, and maybe you could have made the argument. It's like, okay, well, this lineup, like, they're just going to slug their way out of the problems, right? They're going to slug their way out of the problems. It's going to be okay. Well, you lost Anthony Santander. Yeah, okay, you did bring in Tyler O'Neill, and that should hopefully be a kind of a gap filler right there. But now you don't have Gunnar Henderson in that thing either. So you're looking at this lineup, and it still looks good to me. Don't get me wrong. It still looks good.
Deep.
But when Cade Povich is giving up 5 runs a game, is it good enough to get you out of that hole and to do that, every other game? Because I feel like that's what they're going to be up against regularly.
Yeah, you're gonna need some bounce backs too and some breakouts as well. Like, yeah, Gunner's going to be back, and sure, maybe by May you're feeling pretty good about him being back in the lineup, and he's kind of your dominant guy. But you need Adley to bounce back, right? Like, he had a really good first few seasons. Last year was a bit of a step back. He only had an OPS of 709 last year. And then you're going to need guys like, again, Tyler O'Neill to be healthy on the field for you because he has a big injury history. And Jackson Holiday, like, you kind of need him to break out and be the Jackson Holiday that you were anticipating him to be. And if they don't have that, then this is going to be really troublesome. I like their bullpen a lot. Don't get me wrong. We don't have to break down their whole bullpen. I like their bullpen a lot. But when you have problems with rotation and then you don't have as a dominant lineup as of right now until proven otherwise, this is actually a problem, and I'm looking at them a lot differently than I did last year.
That's the thing, man. Like, I still like this baseball team. I still think that they are, a better than average baseball team. I'll put it that way, because I do still believe in the lineup, and a lot of those guys too. I don't even think it's super fair just looking at their last year stats, because again, you are dealing with guys like a Colton Cowser who should be getting better, and somebody like a Jackson Holiday who should be getting better, right? So I do still believe in them. But, it's just tough when you see Zach Eflin and Charlie Morton locking down the pitching staff.
Yeah.
And, God only knows when the reinforcements are on the way here. So that, to me, is the big area of concern, and I can understand why Baltimore fans are, like, scratching their head wondering what the hell is going on. We had Corbin Burns and Anthony Santander. Now they're all gone. And it's reflected in their playoff projection percentage, if you will. Fangraphs comes out with this every year, kind of projecting, and it's a fluid thing, right? It moves with the injuries. It doesn't just stay at one spot. They are pretty much right where the Toronto Blue Jays are right now, if you can believe it. Honestly, I'll be honest, I don't even know about that. That's kind of crazy. But I do understand when you look at that pitching staff why they're projecting only 83 wins for Baltimore?
Yeah, that's actually kind of tough. I mean, this obviously is very hard on a lot of these teams. I mean, they're only projecting 85 wins for the Yankees. Like, they're very conservative. Like, what do they got for the Dodgers? Okay, 97 for the Dodgers. Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, that's conservative for the Dodgers, right?
That is conservative.
That is conservative, right? But yeah, I mean, like, that's the point. Like, things are starting to shift in the AL East, especially with the injuries to the Red Sox, to the Yankees, to the Orioles. The Blue Jays are relatively healthy right now to begin the season. I mean, there's a couple of guys injured, but now you're going to have a bloodbath in the AL East. And the opening day series for the Orioles, right out of the gate, you got to test with an AL East rival, which is the Toronto Blue Jays, a 4-game series on the road against the Jays. And you're going to be throwing out your rotation against their rotation that is healthy and ready to go. That's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, 100%, man. You guys let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about this Baltimore Orioles squad right now? We have the lines for that opening day game. Eflin up against Jose Barrios. Blue Jays going to be hosting the Baltimore Orioles. What are we at for this?
So the Blue Jays are actually the underdogs at 2 right now. That's a 2 multiplier, and the Orioles are at 1.83. And if you ask me, I mean, I know this from being a Blue Jays fan. We've won, I think, the last 4 opening day games, and this time we're actually at home. And we got Jose Barrios on the bump, our opening day starter. And then you got Zach Eflin with a lineup from the Orioles that doesn't contain Gunnar Henderson. I think I like the odds for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I think honestly, whomstever is the underdog in this game, I think I kind of like. So that being the Toronto Blue Jays and especially being the home team, I'm going to be riding with it. But folks, let us know your thoughts about everything that we talked about in this one down below. Please hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, everybody. More Bad for Baseball content on the way.
And guys, we'll catch you next time.
Cheers.